The super dump versus the quad axle dump truck. The average quad axle dump truck is limited to about 17 tons of payload each trip. If we conservatively figure the revenue at $5 per ton, that comes to $85 in revenue each load. If we then conservatively figure 6 total loads per day, that comes to $510 per day, and if we figure 200 working days per year, that comes to $102,000 in revenue per year earned with the quad axle. Finally, if we say the life of the truck is 10 years, which is once again a conservative figure, that comes to $1,020,000 in revenue for the quad axle dump truck over its lifetime. The super dump will haul as much as 26 tons of payload per trip. At $5 per ton, that comes to $130 per trip, and at 6 trips a day, that's $780 per day. And at 200 working days per year, that comes to $156,000 in yearly revenue with the super dump. And over the conservatively figured 10-year lifespan of the truck, we then have $1,560,000 in revenue over the life of the super dump. So even using conservative numbers across the board, the super dump will earn $54,000 in additional revenue every year. That means the added super dump equipment pays for itself in just a year. And when the super dump then generates $540,000 in additional revenue over the truck's life, it pays for itself 10 times over in additional earnings alone. This comparison so far is all based on the revenue being earned on a per ton basis. But in some areas, depending on the material being hauled, you might be paid on an hourly basis, so that a quad axle truck with its 17-ton payload gets paid $66 per hour rather than per ton. Let's quickly calculate the earnings based on this, figuring 8 hours per day and the same 200 working days per year. And that comes to $105,600 per year if all your revenue is earned at this hourly rate. Well, a super dump hauls a 26-ton payload, which is 9 tons more than a quad axle hauls. Besides the big payloads, the super dump is proven to be the most versatile and most efficient dump truck, because it carries the payload of a trailer but has the quickness of a tandem. And the increased production gain using super dumps makes them worth even more than the increased payload they provide. But conservatively, let's look at increased payload only. If the quad axle earns $66 per hour, we divide that by the 17 tons that it hauls, and that comes to $3.88 per ton hour. Then we apply the same ton hour rate to the super dump, multiplying it by the 26-ton payload, and that comes to $100 per hour, based on the additional payload alone. Now we'll multiply that rate by the 8 hours a day and 200 workdays a year, and we have $160,000 in revenue each year with the super dump. Multiplying these yearly amounts by the conservative 10 years for the lifespans of the trucks, and we have $1,056,000 for the quad axle's lifetime revenue and $1,600,000 for the super dump. So even when paid hourly, once the rate is adjusted for the payload, super dumps make $54,400 in additional revenue every year, and $544,000 in additional revenue over the truck's life. Thus, however your revenue is earned, when compared to a quad axle dump truck, the super dump pays for itself in a year, and over its life pays for itself 10 times over in additional revenue alone. The smart owner of a quad axle truck will see the value in super dumps and not only replace the quad axle with a super dump, but reinvest a portion of the bigger earnings into more super dumps. As we've shown, even with our very conservative figures, a super dump makes $160,000 in revenue each year. And here we'll reinvest half those earnings, or $80,000 a year, into more super dumps. In year 1, the extra earnings for the super dump already pay for the super dump's extra cost. Then in years 2 and 3, the reinvestment portion will pay for a second super dump. Now with 2 super dumps, the total yearly earnings are $320,000, and the reinvestment amount is now $160,000 a year. So in year 4, the reinvestment portion can pay for a third super dump in that year alone. Then we have 3 supers for $480,000 total earnings per year, and $240,000 reinvested. And over the course of years 5 and 6, the reinvestment portion will pay for 3 more super dumps. Now after 6 years, we have a 6 super dump fleet, which earns almost $1 million per year in revenue, with $480,000 now available for reinvestment. So that in year 7 alone, that reinvestment portion can buy another 3 super dumps. That brings us to 9 super dumps in the fleet, which now makes over $1.4 million in revenue each year, with plenty to keep reinvesting. But we should emphasize that this is after only 7 years, just by reinvesting half the revenue the super dumps generate. The only other cost is the initial investment in the first super dump. And if you continue investing into your super dump fleet in this manner, a fleet of 20 supers would make $3.2 million in revenue per year. But regardless of whether you have your eyes set on millions annually or just a big boost to your income immediately, it all starts with a super dump, the most profitable dump truck on the road. If you like this video, please click the like button below the video. Subscribe to always catch our latest videos, and leave a comment letting us know what you think. For more videos of the super dump versus other types of dump trucks, click this tile to go to our playlist containing only those videos.